Hello, beautiful people. I'm here with my weekly video, just checking in with the energy and the astrological climate. And so, um, we are in the probably like the third quarter, I would say, of Taurus season. And we are really close to the new moon in Taurus. So I'm recording this on May 13th. And the Taurus new moon is on May 16th. And so, as I've mentioned before, I really do my best to let the celestial energies kind of inform me versus like saying, oh, this is Taurus season, so this is what this means. And I do keep in mind, the archetype and the energetic expression of the zodiac as well as the planets. But I just love being in the energy and receiving the experience, the guidance, the wisdom that is coming forth from the cosmic energy, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. And so I do reflect on my own personal experience, and I take into account also what my peers are experiencing, my family, my friends, my clients, and just kind of get a read and a sense on what is in the collective space right now. And so what I'm feeling for Taurus season, and I spoke about this before, is that there is an emphasis on receiving. And I felt the emphasis on the Empress archetype within the tarot. And with the Empress, if you're not familiar, she represents nurture, nourishment, abundance, power, grace, compassion, just being able to be in our own energy and to be in the high frequency of our energy and allow what is in alignment with our frequency come forth to us, right? So being in that receiving mode is what I really received for Taurus season and for this Empress energy that kept coming up in my own personal readings and readings with others. So as Taurus season has progressed, I have noticed within my own life and with others and I'll say for myself specifically, when it comes to personal security, worthiness, prosperity, I have been feeling, and this is like something that's been happening unconsciously or subconsciously because I kind of see it, but I never really paid that much attention to it or at least devoted energy and practice to it. But I've noticed how has been an experience of having to prove myself, right? Prove my worth, and also just feeling like I need to be doing something to receive. And I do want to say action is important. And it's also important to act out of inspiration and not obligation. So I would say that's the difference as far as like the need to act to receive, right? The need to do something. So in my case, it's like, okay, if I want to receive engagement, if I want to receive appointments with clients or just to get myself out there, I need to do my emails. I need to do these posts. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs or creative endeavors who are living life in your passion, and that is also like intertwined with your financial resources and your own social media, there are certain things that the culture of social media and marketing yourself speaks to, where it's like you got to post this amount, you have to post every day, you have to use these hashtags, you have to use this format, and it becomes a lot. And this creates a belief system of like, I have to perform in a certain way in order to receive. And when I started reflecting on this, because it really also started to show up as when I would have my days where I just like, I just want to be outside, or I just want to rest and, lay on the couch, or, I just want to be in my own energy and not be at the computer. I felt a lot of shame, guilt, resistance, and all of that. And it felt really heavy. And I could see that reflected in what I was receiving. Either I wasn't receiving anything, or I would receive um things that weren't really in alignment with my truth or what I really desire. And they would just show up because it was matching that frequency of obligation or of need. And so as I began to dig deeper, I utilize technology that I'll share with you all the time, like when the time comes. But I basically did a biofield scan for myself, and it gives you a read on your chakras and also your organs and just like your energetic biofield and the distortions of what's there, or the alignment of what is harmonized, right, what is in balance. And it gives you a read on what's going on there. And it's like it's not super in depth, but it gives you enough information to dig deeper, right? It's not going to give you all the answers. But what stood out to me was the ancestral scarcity, ancestral looping, and also it literally indicated that I was in like had this pattern of receiving through proving my worth. So there's a solar plexus imbalance and a root chakra imbalance. And I mean, I was aware of it, but to see it like reflected to me in that way, especially because I didn't really give this technology any context. I just was like, hey, I want to receive a biofield scan in reference to my financial security, just my financial security and stability. And it brought this forth. And I realized that the root chakra fracture for myself personally wasn't necessarily had to even do with money. As I said, there was a deeper aspect of proving worth and also my ancestral component there as well. And I dug a little bit deeper for myself, and I don't want to get into too much detail because that'll take up a lot of time, but basically, I realized this is something that I've been navigating for a very long time, because I have been someone who has always shown up for myself in the sense of like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. I don't care what society says. I don't care what my parents say. Like, it's that Aquarius energy. And I realized that proving of worth also, it wasn't even like, oh, I'm not good enough to receive this. It was more so like how I show up, right? And as I mentioned, it's like, well, I have to do more to get more. And I think that's society in itself. But I realized from my upbringing that that was something that was echoed, where my job wasn't good enough. And if I want to receive in the way that makes me feel the most stable and secure, I have to show up in this way. I have to do this X amount of work. And you have to work really hard, right? That's one big thing. It's like, you have to work really hard. What if we don't? What if it doesn't have to be hard? What if it gets to be easy? And so, with all this to say, I've been noticing how, like in many different connections and relationships, I've just been witnessing, how we collectively have a fractured root chakra, right? If the root corresponds to the body, our foundation, our survival, our our ability to trust, it reflects in our roots, our nourishment, prosperity, family, home, health, and grounding. This is fractured as a collective, and more than likely as an individual for a lot of us, right? It's the ability to feel safe, feel worthy of receiving nourishment, right? I mean, look how much food is at the grocery store, how much gas is, and so forth. And I don't want to like really lean into like what is messed up here, but I just want to bring to light that the root chakra is really important, and that really is a quality and an experience of Taurus, right? Having that strong foundation, feeling stable and secure within yourself, feeling worthy within yourself, just for the fact of existing. Like, you are worthy because you exist and you belong here. And so the ability to feel that worth ties into the ability in which you can receive support, right? And not feeling like you have to prove yourself to receive that support. And a lot of us definitely experience that within our families, where it's like, okay, I have to prove that I'm good enough to receive love, right? I have to follow these specific rules to receive, love and nurture from my parents, from my family, right? And if that's distorted, that also deteriorates our ability to trust in ourselves, trust in the people that care about us. Then that will trickle into our nourishment, that will trickle into our body, because we don't feel connected to ourselves, because we're we may be focused on, how someone else feels about us or receiving that nurture and love and care from others, where it detracts from our ability to trust ourselves. And so when we have a balanced root chakra, that will come forth as that experience of prosperity, the experience of being able to be relaxed and still within the body, being able to have both feet on the ground and not feeling way about it. That's something I noticed recently, where I love sitting in the lotus position in my chair, or maybe like having my legs crossed. It feels so awkward and uncomfortable for me to sit here with both feet on the ground. And so that's something that came into my awareness literally today. And I want to share this book with you all that I really recommend. It's called Eastern Body, Western Mind. It says here, the subtitle is Psychology and the Chakra System as a Path to the Self. And it's by Judith. This book is amazing because it gives you the psychological context, it gives you the energetic context, and it gives you practices to help you restore these chakra points, these energy centers. And so I was reading this morning, and I was focusing in on the root chakra. And that was one of the simplest things. It's having both feet on the ground. How does that feel in your body? Like when you stand, how's your posture? Or when you sit, how's your posture? How does it feel in your body in those moments? And I noticed that it doesn't really feel super comfortable. Like I feel more relaxed or more comfortable sitting in the lotus position. And there's one thing I've always said about myself is that I have found it easier to get out of the body than to be embodied. And before I had my daughter, which was 6.5 years ago, I was always doing deep meditations. Like that was like my favorite thing to do, was to just lay down, meditate, listen to some music. And I mean, it was beyond a meditation, it was astral travel. And this is how I learned about my alternate lives and met my spirit guides and just had sex in the astral plane. There was so many things I was doing, and I just like wasn't about being here on earth, which ties into that starseed aspect, right, of belonging. And maybe this is why I'm so attracted to starseed exploration, because of the expansiveness of being able to be in that astral field and to travel and make these type of connections. But then also in this part of my own personal starseed exploration, I am focused on the fact that I am anchoring into this human experience. Like I chose to be here, I belong here, I'm meant to be here because I exist. If I didn't exist, if I wasn't meant to be here, I wouldn't be here. I'd be somewhere else. And so, how do I, in my journey now, is reconciling being a human while also being connected to my star galactic soul families, right? Like, so basically, I am remembering my mission in reference to those galactic soul families, and I'm anchoring that into my earth experience, and I'm embodying that frequency. But that's another conversation, which I will be having that conversation this Sunday, May 17th. I'm going to be doing a live with Jackie, our monthly Starseed Live, which we're going to be talking about the root chakra from the context of a starseed perspective. But just bringing it back to what I want to share here with the new moon in Taurus, as I have spoke about many times, is that the lunar cycle is right now, as I'm recording this, we're in the Aries lunar cycle. And it's like I'm talking to you guys and I have to cross my legs. What is that about? Like I don't feel grounded with both feet on the ground. So I just had to share that. And I'm just going to, in order to focus, I'm going to sit here with my legs crossed. But I just had to share that because I'm like, what? Something's there. But anyway, coming back, we are currently in the Aries lunar cycle, even though we are in the Taurus solar cycle, right? And so as I talked about the Aries lunar cycle, I spoke a lot about empowerment, being present in the moment, um, living our truth, embodying that energy, right? Being in our essence. With the Taurus energy, it was definitely the Empress, that graceful power and that ability to hold that frequency and to like just apologetically be ourselves. And so now, as we move into this new moon, that's going to initiate the Taurus archetype within the lunar cycle, right? Which the lunar cycle references our emotions, our memories, and even more so, there is this capacity, is that the right word, of embodiment, especially with a Taurus moon. The moon in Taurus is said to be exalted, which means it's at its highest expression. The moon can express itself and move through all the emotions and just feel it all because it's in a sign that is incredibly grounded and rooted. And that is a reflection of our experience. That's a reflection of the possibility of our experience. And so I'm really leaning into this influence for the Taurus lunar cycle, which is initiated on the 16th, right? And so what's important here, because we're soon going to be in Gemini season, beginning May 20th. So that's going to be next week. And so what I'm getting here is that there's a focus on the fractured root chakra. And in addition to that, there's going to be a focus on our nervous system. And when our foundation is off, it's hard to focus. It's hard to feel relaxed because we're not feeling safe. We're not feeling secure, whether it's in our own body or in our environment, right? And as a collective, there's very good reason to not feel safe within our environment. Like so many things going on, even if you don't watch the news or read about it, you can feel it energetically. We're not getting out of it because we're all connected and it's likely showing up in our dream space. And so there's going to be a focus and guidance with stabilizing the root chakra, which will then help to stabilize our nervous system. And the first thing to do is really to find that security within yourself, really connect with the body, connect to the knowingness and the feeling and expression that you belong, you're meant to be here, reclaim your right to be here. This will help us to regain our aliveness, to feeling alive, feeling rooted, feeling connected to our bodies and connected to earth. This will help us to stabilize our nervous system. And one of the things I also, realize in this whole experience of a fractured root system is that, and this was also from the biofield scan, is that I have a lot going on up here, which I already knew. Like crown chakra, super activated, third eye is a little bit overactivated. My throat, I could be better with that, especially when it comes to family, especially when it comes to like sharing and expressing my truth. And so with this headiness here, it's like I'm always learning and receiving and taking in information, but it's kind of leaking out of the root, right? It's not really like it's anchoring itself, but not in its full potential. And that goes aligned with prosperity. If you are someone who attracts in a lot of money, but you don't have it for long, there might be a leak or a fracture in your root chakra, right? Because you can attract it in, you have the frequency, but when it comes to the root, when it comes to your foundation, it's not at capacity to hold that level of abundance and prosperity that you are calling in, that you're attracting in. So, like, it might look like, oh, I have a surplus of money or I'm making more money, but then all of a sudden I have like more problems that cost money, right? So, we want to pay attention to these little things, and it might not just you know, be a money thing, your relationship to money. You might actually have good relationships with money, but there could be some sort of aspect within your early childhood that may have caused this fracture, or your ancestral lineage, right? And so the root also ties into our ancestral roots, right? Our family roots, our history. And so considering, just the nature of the environment in which your family was, like the environment your family had, right? Created, right? Was it peaceful or was it abusive and violent? Was it traumatic? Right? Those imprints are there. Even if you're not experiencing it in your life, the imprints are there and they need to be um, released. They need to be healed, integrated, released, whatever's necessary for these different things, right? So some healing activities here would be reconnecting with the body, physical activity, lots of touch and massage, bioengineered grounding, which essentially is going outside, putting your feet in the grass, barefoot, grass, ground, and doing some intentional breath work while you are grounded in earth. That's basically, I had to look that up. That's basically what that is. And I'm like, yes, I'm leaning into that. Then there's also hatha yoga, which I had to look into that too, because I'm like, wait, I know I've heard of this yoga. Is this something that I've practiced before? And basically, it's holding different poses, taking your time, slow yoga movements, and also with that breath work. Breath work is everything with all the energetic centers, but definitely with the root. And so I want to just add here that on Thursday, May 14th, so I'm recording this on May 13th. So the following day, if you're watching this when I publish it, hopefully I publish it at this time. But nonetheless, Thursday, May 14th is Mercury Cazimi in Taurus. And so Mercury Cazimi is Mercury's not retrograde, and I tend to put a lot more emphasis when Mercury's retrograde, but it doesn't matter. It's the window of illumination, of aha moments, synchronicities, good fortune. It's a time of receiving, and we're already in this strong energetic field that's really anchored in receiving and being comfortable with that. And so I'm putting both feet on the floor now, just so you know. And so this is a day where it's good to meditate. It's good to have a conversation with the divine, with your higher mind, your counsel, um, and just ask for clarity around this or just see what comes through. So really taking your time on this day. Then on Monday, May 18th is going to be significant because this is when Mercury moves into Gemini. We have Mars moving into Taurus and Venus moving into Cancer. So with Mercury moving into Gemini, that's going to be a lot of focus on the mind, and Mercury is moving really fast at this time. So obsessive thoughts, anxieties can be high, and also the intuition and those downloads, the aha moments, they might come through really quick. So it's really, again, important to take your time, slow down, and have moments of stillness when you can, moments of rest to receive that information. And as I mentioned, Mars is moving into Taurus, so this will help us to slowly take action, right, with these different healing activities as far as the root chakra, if that's something that aligns with you, of course. And then Venus is going to be in Cancer, which is so beautiful because Venus is the planet of nourishment, of healing, of balance, of harmony, of beauty. And in Cancer, that's the mother. And so this feels like a moment of being in harmony, being in union, having the ability to have that nurture and nourishment, just restorative energy. And Venus will be in Cancer essentially for a month. And so that gives us this time and alignment with the lunar cycle to really take care there. And yeah, I think that that feels really good for what I wanted to share as far as this new moon and Taurus season. And, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I'll put the name of this book and the author in the description of this video if you want to check it out. I just wanted to see if there's anything else I want to add here. And I do want to share the affirmations that she shares in this book for the root chakra. So one of the affirmations is, "It is safe for me to be here." That's my favorite one. Starseed people, this is a good one. "It is safe for me to be here." Another one, "The earth supports me and meets my needs." So that even takes it away from, people in your life, right? The earth, the planet, your home supports you and meets your needs. That is everything. "I love my body and trust its wisdom." So body talk is another really good way to come home to your body, to connect to your body. If you're feeling a sensation somewhere, like lately, my stomach has been very tender and sensitive. And so I've been having communications with my stomach, even if it's like, it's good to ask your stomach, like, what's going on? How do you feel right now? What's going on? You're so sensitive. You feel tender. And see what comes forth. Maybe nothing will come up forth, or maybe just like something random. Trust it. And then I also like to just gently massage and, just like everything's okay, or I'm bringing love and light to this part of my body. You are healed, you are safe, you are free. That's a good way to also work with and restore the root chakra. And then another affirmation is I am immersed in abundance. I am immersed in abundance. Feel that, see that, and see yourself having a very strong foundation that the abundance can just accumulate, and it feels good, and it feels it's safe. The abundance is safe with you. And then finally, I am here and I am real. I am here and I am real. I am here and I am real. That is everything. I've had conversations with my friend Alexis, who I do the Dream podcast with, and we have had conversations about existence. And I love when she'll mention, like, sometimes she'll have these moments, which I've had them too, where you're just looking at yourself in the mirror, or just something clicks and you're like, whoa, like I exist. And how did I get here? Like, what is this? Like, it comes in. I'm here and I am real. It's powerful. And I'm grateful that I exist. Mm, yes, becoming more embodied, connecting to the breath, feeling both feet on the floor, standing in your power, standing in your truth. You belong because you exist, and this is your planet. You are worthy. So thanks again for watching. Thank you so much. Of course, if you like the video, please like the video, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.